Hey Rockstar, Steve aka Void here. Welcome to another episode of RIFFSTARTER, where I help you play your favorite riffs from day one by removing those annoying speed bumps and roadblocks that slow you down. So all of the strategies and techniques from the show could be found in my best-selling book, Practice Less, Play More, which you could find at playsongsfaster.com. Welcome to today's episode. We are going to have a fun time today playing a classic riff by none other than Bon Jovi. Wanted Dead or Alive is one of the most requested riffs that I get, and it's also a riff so it sounds super cool, but it also can get you really tangled up because of how it's structured. So if you watch the intro, when I was playing it, you can see how, it's not too complicated, but when you get your hands on it, and as you'll see on the tab, you're going to see that, and also if you've tried it, let me know in the comments if you've tried this riff before. It could get pretty, your fingers could get pretty tangled up. So one of the reasons for that is because there's a core principle that we've got on the show, that, a lot of guitar players, they try to play the song at face value, and we'll get to the tab in a second. They play it at face value, which means that they play exactly what's on the tab. And what we want to do instead is we want to, instead of trying to match your current skill level to the level of the riff, we match the riff to your current skill level. That's how you play from day one. From there, depending on, if you scratch the itch, if you're satisfied, you can just move on to another riff. Or if you want to upgrade, just continue to upgrade based on that musical foundation. So again, you want to play from day one, play something that's musical, play along with the record, and then you upgrade bit by bit by bit until you get to whatever you're satisfied with. Maybe it's what Richie Sambora is playing. Maybe it's a simpler version, but whatever it is, you got to play music regardless. And so what I'm going to show you here is this. And by the way, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you've tried this riff before. So I'm just trying this new pedal setup that I've got going on here. And yeah, so we should be good. Okay, sweet. So let me clear these windows here. I always forget to do that. And okay. So basically, this is the tab of Wanted Dead or Alive, the intro of Wanted Dead or Alive. Now, I want to just check something really quick here. Okay, so yeah, there's no indication of any chords or anything like that. So basically what guitar players typically will do is they'll start from the left and they'll go to the right. And so they're going to be playing, okay, so the first note is an open D string. Okay, cool. So we got this. And then the next note is the 14th fret. Okay, I'll just pick any finger here. Maybe I'll pick the middle finger. Okay, cool. Okay, and then I've got the 13th fret over here. Okay, cool. I'll play that. And then so on and so forth. And so, 20 minutes pass by and maybe it sounds something like very, very apprehensive, okay? Like you just not, it doesn't sound musical. It doesn't sound like the record, or even if it does, it's probably super slow. Which is fine, you're making the unfamiliar familiar to your fingers and to your mind, but that's fine. But what I recommend, like I said, I want to make sure that instead of trying to match your current skill level to the level of the record, we match the record to your current skill level. That's how you play from day one. So what we got to do is we got to make sure that music is always top of mind, and how do I play this in a musical way? And so what I wanted to show you on this episode here are some strategies you could use to take a riff like this, and where you could actually break it apart or rethink it, because it really comes down to it has to sound good to you, it has to sound like the record. Okay, so it has to sound good to you, it has to sound like the record, and it also has to, like something that for you, like what you hear, your memory of the record. Okay, I mentioned this on another episode. Like it's got to sound like what you think the record sounds like. Don't worry if there's any little detail or something like that. If you don't recreate that, it's not the end of the world. Okay, that could always come later, or maybe you don't even have to do it at all. But you got to be playing it at a musical pulse. So that's the third thing. So you got to make sure that that it sounds good to you. It sounds, enough like the record, like your memory of the record, and also it's got a steady musical pulse. Those are that's a given. We have to have that as a foundation so that you can build on it. And really it starts from, instead of trying to match your current skill level to the riff, you got to match the riff to your current skill level. So sometimes that means just doing what we want, like not doing what's on the tab. So I'm going to show you some ways to approach this. So basically, instead of going like this right away, or trying to go like this right away, like that, what I recommend first. Okay, so you want to recognize patterns. All right, I'm going to go back to the tab over here. You want to recognize patterns. So you might not be able to see it from the tab until you get your fingers on it. What you'll find in this first bar here is if you keep the ring or the middle finger down here on the third string, then this could basically stay on. Like, so what you might do is you might find, okay, cool, I'm gonna do this here, then I'm gonna do like maybe this here, or maybe I'm gonna do like this, which is actually another way to approach this, where the ring finger or where the middle finger stays on the first string and just rolls slides down the track. What I recommend is you have the middle finger stay on the third string and it slides down the track. And what I mean by that is you can see the middle finger is always on the third. It's always on the third string. Okay, so I recommend doing that because I think that that's the easiest. But even beyond the picking, what you got to recognize is, okay, so we've got this. All the shapes are the same. It's either this one, which is like a slant, or it's this one, which is like a stack, so vertical. It's either diagonal or it's vertical, okay? And so basically, besides any picking, we want to make sure that we know what the pattern is with these different shapes here, okay? So we have, in this case, what I would say, we kind of have a sandwich because we have diagonal, stack, stack, and then diagonal. So it's like the diagonals are pieces of bread and the stack is whatever in the sandwich, so the meat. So here we have diagonal, stack, stack, diagonal. Okay? And so basically that means no matter what the pick is doing, we have to make sure our fingers get comfortable with that pattern. Okay? So it's like, and we want to remember that rather than thinking about them as like separate events, like face value, where it's like, okay, 0, 14, 13, 14, 0, 12, 12, like that. It's more efficient to think of it as a pattern, like, okay, so cool, like you recognize, and this comes also with practice, like you'll be able to recognize things like this a lot sooner, but it's like, okay, cool, well, if I just take like a few of these, then, oh, okay, well, that's like, it bookends it, it's like a sandwich, so we have like slant or like diagonal, stack, stack, diagonal, okay? And so you can, that'll help you remember what to play. And then this one is stack, 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 diagonal, diagonal. So stack, diagonal, diagonal. So it's about remembering that sort of that pattern. So you have one, you write it down, like have a sheet of paper beside you. You'd be like diagonal, stack, stack, diagonal, and then on the next line, it would be stack, diagonal, diagonal. So like this is a way to remember, almost like a phone number. You remember what shapes you need. And what I'm doing here with the middle finger is just making it more efficient by kind of riding that rail there. Like I said before, you could also do it like this, where so you can play where the middle finger stays on the first string, but just to keep things simple, we're going to keep it on the third string over here. Now, that is how to play it, it's kind of like how it's written, but if that's even tricky to play, where you can't play these shapes cleanly or it feels really awkward, well, there's nothing stopping you from changing how you play that, like how we'll recognize it. Maybe like we'll play like this. Maybe we'll change it to where the notes have to be on strings 3 and 2, and then maybe like here. Okay, now I'm not specifically teaching you every little move of Wanted Dead or Alive. The point of this show is to show you that there are other ways to play songs. There are ways that you can play so you can get your hands on it right away. That's the point of this show. So I'm not going to walk through every single step, but it's just giving you some ideas of what you can do, like here. Now, if that's a little bit too much of a stretch, what you could also do is do it on string 1 and 2. You can basically have, so on string 3 and 2, I was playing basically 14, so 14 and 18, and then it would be 12 and 17. The whole idea is just like reimagining this chord, taking these two notes, and playing them in a different spot. So instead of this, there, or maybe here, maybe here. For some people, that might be easier. Okay, so playing it like this with these kinds of shapes, where it's the index and the pinky, rather than these shapes here. Like that. Okay, so that's another way to do it. But then what if you're like really, really having trouble with any of the pattern, like where you're playing, like you can't play chords. Like you want to just play maybe just kind of get into it, but you can't play like all three notes. So instead of doing that, so maybe you just start off by playing just whatever's on the third string. Like that. You just start off like that. And maybe you put on the record, so you're jamming with Bon Jovi. Okay, so if you're a novice, like you're just jamming with Bon Jovi, and you're playing stuff that sounds compatible, and then you could build from there. But it's like, if you're spending weeks trying to get this going and you love the riff, after weeks of not getting it going, you're probably not going to love the riff anymore, right? So what I want you to do is play from day one, basically, is the philosophy. So you're playing music from day one. So put on the record, play something that sounds compatible like this. Like that, if that's if that's the level that you're at. Again, we want to match the riff to your current skill level. What you could also do is you can do all downstrokes, and you don't have to do all of the moves. You don't have to go 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. You can just go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that space that you got in between, where you're not playing, so it's not steady, where it's not steady. That extra note is like a little break for our mind and for our fingers to move to the next shape, which is like a temporary step. So for example, if you're playing this, that's great, or maybe you don't even do this, the open fourth string. Maybe you just go like this. So you put the record on and you just match up those parts. There's nothing saying that you can't do that. And this is really what I want this show to be about, is just giving you some ideas, empowering you to take control of your guitar practice so that you learn songs however you want to learn them. If you want to learn it a certain way, you simplify it first and then you upgrade, and it takes, like, every single day you're playing a musical version, but you continue to upgrade it and make it sound more and more like the record. Like, that is a wicked approach. It's so much more fun that way, rather than imagine going to this face value version and just having this stop and go version that never sounds like it's the ingredients of Wanted Dead or Alive, but it never sounds like music. So this doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. You can't jam that with anybody. But if you did this, or if you even did this, that sounds like something you could jam. You could jam along with the record. You could jam with buddies. Like, that's got a musical pulse. Always have a musical pulse. That's what playing from day one is all about. Have that musical pulse, okay? And it's all about. It's funny. I'm looking at the camera as if that camera is activated right now, but it's not. So, the goal is always to play with a musical pulse. Have fun. Always, okay? This is what we need to be doing. We're playing music, right? It shouldn't feel like a chore. So that's really what playing from day one is all about, and what this show is all about, to give you ideas so that you can play from day one. Just look at my notes here. So we talked about recognizing patterns, breaking apart the parts so that you don't have to play every single you don't have to do that. You could just play pieces of it, or you could relocate some of the notes so the shapes look different. You can play all of the same notes, but in a more comfortable shape. Okay, so just some ideas there to get you started with this riff. And let me just double check here. Okay, cool. So Lisa's saying you make it look so easy. So these are a bunch of different ways to approach it. And again, it's just getting something that matches your level. Okay, if you need any help with this, reach out to me, leave a comment below. This is basically what I do, is I help people to simplify things so that they can get started and get that end goal in mind. Okay, so we got to get, if you want to play, you don't have to practice a whole bunch of stuff before you get to play. Play first. So play something instead of trying to match your current skill level to the level of the riff. Match the riff to your current skill level. That's how you play from day one. Once you're in the game and you've got that musical version, then it's great. You're having fun with it, and then so you're playing that, and then you practice whatever the next upgrade is, and then you keep going, upgrade to whatever sounds good to you, whatever. For you, it might sound good when you just start incorporating even this. You might be done by this point. Maybe you like that. Maybe that's it. You don't have to play all the notes, and you scratch the itch. Move on to the next song, or for example, move on to the next part. Maybe you move on to the next part, but it's a very personal thing. And so the main message here is do what you want, what makes you happy. Get into the music as soon as possible, and don't try to play at face value. I just don't think that face value, playing left to right, one little note at a time, is going to get you the results that you want. It seems like what I'm talking about is more steps, and it's going to take longer. But that's the counterintuitive part about it, is that it actually, by doing those steps and by playing music, you're motivated to pick up your guitar, and actually your brain is getting familiar with it bit by bit. And so it seems like more steps, but it's actually going to get you to the end result faster. And if somebody asks you to play like and jam with them, you can play your version as soon as possible from day one. The other way, where you're playing the face value version, the cake will never be out of the oven, because you're always kind of working on it. Now, obviously there's exceptions to this. Maybe you might go through, maybe you're a little bit more advanced. Maybe the song is really simple and you can look through face value. But typically what I've found in my 20 plus years of experience of playing and coaching and touring, like whenever you're playing a song, you always want to play it, like get it to your level first and then upgrade from there. All right, so that's enough of me repeating the same thing over and over. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. If you have any requests for any riffs, then definitely comment below. And if you want to check out my best-selling book, Practice Less, Play More, then definitely check out playsongsfaster.com. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon.